Are you already going live?
Oh, sorry.
All right, no problem. Let me get the share going. Just tell me when to play it.
Look, I'll
Oh,
stop share. Wait a second. I'll stop share.
you don't need to share.
Well, I need to set it up. Wait a second.
Hmm. I need to
Otherwise,
share.
otherwise the audio screws up. Look, I'll
Oh,
stop share. Wait a second.
you need me to stop share?
No,
No. Okay. Just tell me when to play.
what the hell? Come on. Uh, well, thank you. My internet is unstable. Okay, I think we're okay. YouTube is up. Hit it.
Good evening and welcome to the After Hours show with the Autonomous Collective. My name's Joe in Norway. I'll be your cook this evening. And I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and a community member at the Daily Coast. They're a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Evening, Ann.
Hey there.
Hey, man. It,
Hello.
hey there. Coming through okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Some
No,
are, some are farty hardy, okay? Summer's over. Back to
what's
wearing a sweater. Went from 30 degrees C to 20 degrees less. It was thought for sure it was going to last another month and a half. But, oh, okay. Call me delusional, but just if there's any hope I have, there's hope that irrational things like that could happen. Anyways, that's like the least of our worries, really. Other problems are just coming up with dishes to vegetarian, 100% vegetarian dishes every week, especially amid all the constant news of hunger and starvation,
oh God.
forced starvation.
It's just insane. I don't think anyone is on the Israeli side now. I mean, it's just like there's no way they can defend themselves on this.
See, I don't know what they're thinking. It's I have something to share here if I can find it. I'm posting the wrong one. Brave. Can you see this? Can you see the doctor
There we
here?
go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I spent quite a bit of time on the paediatric intensive care unit because I had patients there. Appalling malnutrition, and a lot of doctors I know who have taken in formula feed because they knew there was such a shortage. None has been allowed in by the Israelis since the last ceasefire.
So you go through a checkpoint, you get searched as a doctor, and if you've got any baby formula in your pockets or in your bag, they will confiscate it from you?
Very specifically confiscating that. Nothing else. They confiscated every single carton of formula feed that these doctors were taking.
Can you think of any reason other than that they just don't want you to give it to the babies?
We're very cautious in what we take in because we know much will be confiscated, and certainly they always say anything that could be remotely used as a weapon, such as surgical instruments, we can't take in. But I cannot think of any reason why they would confiscate formula feed.
The atrocious.
Just insane.
This is a couple Israeli soldiers apparently outside the border with humanitarian supplies. There's
Protecting it from whom?
Gaza's surrounded by it. This is from Drop Site News. They had apparently the defense secretary is abandoning the talks. They're trying, they call it a new round of blackmailing is coming. But this is the official statement from Hamas. The Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, affirms that from the outset of the negotiation process, it has acted with full national responsibility and high flexibility across various issues, and has been committed to reaching an agreement that halts the aggression and ends the suffering of our people in the Gaza Strip. The movement presented its final response after extensive consultations with Palestinian factions, mediators, and friendly countries, and it responded positively to all feedback it received. This reflects a sincere commitment to the success of the mediators' efforts and a constructive engagement with all proposed initiatives. We are surprised by the negative statements of U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff regarding the movement's stance, especially when the mediators have expressed their welcome and satisfaction with this constructive, positive position, which opens the door to reaching a comprehensive agreement. The movement reiterates its commitment to continue negotiations and engaging in them to help overcome obstacles and reach a permanent ceasefire agreement, which is essentially not what Israel's interest. It's hard to comprehend what they're expecting. Hundreds of thousands of deaths, mass graves, and how they would cover that up. You have people that are collapsing in the street, unable to walk to get the food, risking their lives to in essentially traps, like shooting gallery traps to get food and supplies. It's just unspeakable, horrendous. And we're all complicit in this. You know, just watching it live stream every fucking day.
Well, without getting into the details, I would say that it's you know, uh, generational, and there's the only thing that's going to solve it is for Hamas to capitulate completely.
Oh, of course. Well,
And they just don't care about the fact that it is genocide, that it is ethnic cleansing, that it is as awful as any other ethnic cleansing of this, at least of the new century.
I don't think they would have been able to get away with it if there wasn't this complicity with the Western media and the inherent anti-Arab racism.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I mean, just the whole total hypocrisy of the quote unquote Jewish state and its history of the Holocaust and its use of the Holocaust.
Well, I mean,
Anyways, I have someone here who's got a sweet belly who's suffering from not being able to keep food down. So, in
oh,
solidarity with Gaza and here in the house here, I'm going to be making food that is very easy to digest. Going to be making
congee,
yes, congee, rice porridge. I have
cool, comfort food.
some some leftover rice. We'll make a little rice porridge, and we'll cook up some lentils. Um, the whole concept with this meal is just the basic ingredients you could forage or find or you have lying around in your pantry. So I went out into the wilds and I harvested some dandelion greens for
Mm,
for our dark green leafy vegetables and came across some wild sorrel here up top for some sour citrony when you don't have fresh citron, lemon. You can use sorrel. Typically, you eat this with salads. Doesn't doesn't like to be cooked. It just turns into kind of brown sludge, kind of nasty, slimy. Doesn't like to be handled with a knife either. So we'll do maybe some garnish at the end, and we'll stew up the greens, soften them up because they're just before they're flowering, and they're a little hardy, so it requires some cooking, and then we'll puree them like a baby food style. And
mm,
I did find we'll put a couple ingredients into no a few ingredients we've got here for the stew for the lentils. I found a clove of garlic. We'll throw that in the pot. We'll throw a few cardamom pods. I've got
nice.
some leftover uh, oils from pobres, poor people's potatoes. Is a kind of braised Spanish dish of braised potatoes and onion and pepper and garlic with some rosemary. And I don't know if you can see. Oh, off. Oh, it's just been waiting out over here off stage. Here we go. The ultimate seasoning that you don't want to leave out and is comes especially handy when you don't have a lot of collagen or fatty animal product to infuse that umami. We don't have blue uh, poppy seeds or hashas magvi in Arabic. This is my secret stash of MSG, monosodium
Ah,
glutamate,
ah,
for
ah.
flavoring, but I'll keep it in the blue
Yeah,
blue poppy seed. Doesn't quite resemble poppy seeds, but if it works. Decoy. Little picture. Won't kill anybody. It'll only kill you if you're injecting tons of it under your skin, like they did to the rats in those highly dubious studies back in the day.
okay.
MSG is bad for you if you eat elephant-sized portions of it.
Well, I mean, if you have high blood pressure, certainly not a
True.
thing you want to eat.
No, no. And I mentioned the bread baking. Might have one little turn here. We've got our sourdough and it's a bulk fermentation process. We just want to fold it over, trying to get that develop those glutens. So rotate it 90 degrees, flip it over. Several more hours of that to go. That'll be another show. So I'll leave you to the updates on the Varden, the world.
Oh, it's just
Going a
been a
little
busy week,
wacko.
that's all. cra- crazy
Again?
crap has happened.
Lord.
Well, the most recent one is, Jerome Powell, Jay Powell, was just sort of chagrined, I suppose. Trump had another one of these little events, a little performative event. So he and Senator Tim Scott took a quote unquote tour of the Federal Reserve buildings, and they had a little staged confrontation that would have happened in front of the press, where Trump would have pilloried Jay Powell over cost overruns. Now, the problem, of course, is that Trump is such a dolt that he didn't read the material or wasn't properly briefed. So
No
he started
pictures?
yammering on. Well, no, there's no pictures. There's just yammering about the $3.1 billion cost overrun, essentially a $500 million cost overrun. And so he wanted to, humiliate Jay Powell. And so he starts yammering about this. And then Powell says, well, I think you're wrong there. And so Trump in his, why aren't you wearing a suit sort of thing, tries to, put Powell down. Powell just looks at it and goes, oh, this is not right. You've added on a building that's been already in existence for 5 years. And essentially Trump got flustered because, nobody resists, Trump. So that whole event, it was a big snafu, and a lot of people made fun of it because Trump obviously didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, what the hell he was talking about. So that was the event of yesterday. And Trump is either on an airplane or he just arrived in Scotland, where he's going to inaugurate, as it were, a new course, I think on his Aberdeen course or whatever, which one it is. It's what, Tunbury or whatever the hell it is. And there will be demonstrations. I think there are a lot of people who just aren't very happy with the whole business. And the Scots are, of course, pretty good with insults. So that's happening. Now,
Oh, just a
the
quick
thing,
note on this
sure.
lentil porridge. These are split lentils. So my lazy cooking method is to efficiently use the pressure cooker. This will take less than 10 minutes. But if you want it really creamy, you can go 12 minutes under pressure. It's very simple. There you go.
Cool. I mean, Trump's trying to fire Jay Powell, and I have decided that I'm going to stand behind Jay Powell, even though he's a Republican, lifelong Republican. He is also an aficionado of the Grateful Dead. So, just for that, a Republican who is a Deadhead is, I think, quite a rare thing. And so I think that alone is worth supporting Jerome Powell, chair of the Federal Reserve. Needless to say, it's an expensive building, but it's not being paid for by the taxpayers. It's funded privately, actually, or collectively by the Federal Reserve banks. And that's why, because in the initial form of the building, when it was built in the 30s or whatever, 20s, the damn bank has, all kinds of fancy marble and all kinds of other crazy things in it. So it's but a significant number of buildings in Washington, D.C. have really fancy stuff in a lot of them. So it's not a big deal. And Trump just wants to have power. It's really has nothing to do with the economy. I mean, essentially, he wants to lower interest rates. But if had he fired Powell, the market would have gone nuts. So, and they're standing behind Powell too, because they know that Trump can't even remember that he appointed Powell, and so he opened up like a week ago whining about whoever appointed Powell. Well, he appointed Powell. It's just stupid idiot. So that's that. The big story, of course, at the front end of the week was the so-called page or a letter in the 50th anniversary birthday book for Jeff Epstein. And it was put together by, organized by Ghislaine Maxwell. So, if anything, just to prove that Trump is mentioned in the so-called Epstein papers, he's been resisting that one little point and saying that, well, somebody else could have done it, or it's not mine, blah, blah, blah. The reality, of course, is his name is all over the damn place. And you figure if you're prowling around predation on young women for a decade, there's going to be evidence. And my assertion is that Ghislaine Maxwell has all the receipts, has probably a videotape of, Trump doing the nasty. Simultaneous to that, of course, is South Park resisting not only Trump, but the merger that's coming up, the capitulation by Paramount to the Trump administration. Essentially, Trump got $16 million kind of bribery from Paramount because of the impending merger. And that's been the history of Hollywood anyway, is these sort of numerous mergers, some of which concentrate activity, others of which are just sort of scams of one kind or another. That's sort of what's happening. Last week, it was the firing of, or the ending of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And the subsequent, in the middle of the week, the purchase of the entire South Park catalog, I think by Paramount, for $1.5 billion. It's just an immense amount of money. Mm. And as a response to this sort of foolishness, after they had signed the contract, of course, South Park released a public service announcement to tease the this week's program, and you should watch it. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting episode in that it sort of hits at the religious fervor, the dominance of the dominionist dominance of the religious campaigns, makes fun of Trump, suggesting that he has a very small penis, and they even show a little diagram. It's just and of course, they placed Trump in bed with Satan. And if you'll recall, earlier in the South Park series, Satan was in bed with Saddam Hussein. And so it is a whole business about gay sex and a variety of other matters. Taking the piss at a variety of folks, including Trumpists of one kind or another. And it's South Park, whatever. One would hope that their artwork would get better, but I think that's their shtick. So anyway,
you're gonna tell me you don't like Minecraft either?
Oh, Minecraft is that movie. I've just seen the clips for it. It's really strange. I've never played Minecraft, so it could be great. Who knows? Let's see. The most foolish thing this week, I think, was yesterday's presence of Senator Tim Scott with Trump and Jerome Powell. Now, Powell and Trump were wearing hard hats. For some reason, Scott wasn't wearing a hard hat. And so it just would have been interesting if something had fell on them. But anyway, it didn't, needless to say. Let's see. The Wall Street Journal resisted Trump's denials and attacks, and Trump decided that he would sue the the Wall Street Journal, and a variety of other things are going on in the background. J.D. Vance, the day before the discussion, the release of the initiation of the lawsuit, actually went out and visited with Rupert Murdoch in Montana or something, and that was weird too, because other things are going on, and simultaneously, in terms of bad, the presence of politicians in bad places, or at least stooges. Um, Todd Blanche, the deputy attorney general, decided that he would visit with Ghislaine Maxwell and at her prison. This is really unprecedented. A lot of people have been trying to convince everyone that this is like really, you don't do that if you're doing an actual kind of movement toward either a consideration of a pardon or commutation, as well as the potential to have her in front of either a House or a Senate committee. So it's just Trump trying to be a maverick. I think we should refer to him as a maverick anyway, because that'll piss him off relative to John McCain. But anyway, so the Wall Street Journal, owned by Murdoch, decided not to back down, and they got the goods too in terms of that. They operate fairly solidly for a conservative activity. Let's see what else. Well, let me. The Genius Act got signed, trying to validate the use of crypto for a variety of things that, on the one hand, it suggests that there's better U.S. government regulation of crypto. On the other hand, it just simply allows a bad thing to get worse. Because if a bad thing happens there, it's going to get worse at the global level. But in the meantime, Trump is making lots of money with his stable coin. I guess a couple $billion right now so far. And, he owns a big thing of this, a large amount of this stable coin offering. And so there's that going on. But the reality underlying all of this is going back to bribery. It's essentially ways of which you can transfer money with without a lot of scrutiny or control. And it's good for some banks and not for others. And it does leverage power. There's a bunch of other things that have happened relative to, the power of large or small banks. And that's another story that we should cover at some other moment. And so crypto is just opening up. I think in a couple of years, we'll really see whether it's going to work or not, and whether they're, its equivalence, its equity or currency leverage is going to actually happen. Let's see. Trump decided to deal with more idiocracy. For just the oddest things have happened. He essentially is trying to suggest, before he would talk about MAGA as said, make Israel great again. And then he started yammering around the time that they dropped bombs on the Iranian nuclear sites that he tried to goad the Iranians into capitulating and make Iran great again. So there's that, and then and then it got tied up with his desire to attack woke, and that was in the South Park thing about wokeism, that woke is dead or whatever. And Trump this past week tried to force the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Commanders. So it's the Cleveland Guardians and the Washington Commanders. He wanted them to return to their former names, that is, the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Redskins. Both, with all respect, kind of racist stuff. Particularly in the case of Cleveland, it's the image of a buck-toothed Indian, a Native American, and in the case of just just the idea of red skins is just horrible. And the fact is that he was pretending he's serious. I don't think anything is going to come of it, but the fact is he tried to leverage it forward. So, for example, the Washington whatevers should immediately change their name back to this is Trump on Truth Social, should change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There's a big clamoring for this. No, there isn't. Likewise, the Cleveland Indians, one of the 6 original baseball teams, they weren't, with a storied past, confusing hockey with baseball. Our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Well, that's not true. Their heritage and prestige is systematically being taken away from them. No. Times are different now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, I suppose so. We are a country of passion and common sense. Owners get it done. So, whatever.
Important stuff, basically.
Oh, yeah. It's, it's just attempts to screw with, and all of these essentially are distractions from the Epstein stuff. All of these craziness things are about Epstein, and nothing has distracted people from it because Trump promised that he would reveal all. And the reality was, of course, that those of us who really care know that he wouldn't have done it anyway, that his claim that he would bring transparency to government, was interesting, but only stupid people like the Red Hats bought into it. It's just, it's been a crazy week, and Trump gets 5 days in Scotland, so we don't have to deal with him. On the other hand, we'll laugh at everything the Scots throw at him. So that'll be fun. On the European front, the Ukraine war continues. Apparently, Trump has changed his mind about Putin only because he's so stupid that he didn't, Putin has been very consistent about demanding that Ukraine capitulate completely. And he really hasn't changed his mind. I mean, there's been no sliding, no rolling anything back, no accommodation at all. And Trump kept on trying to work around this and claim that he was in tight with Putin, et cetera, et cetera. Putin was just playing him. And so ultimately, this past week or so, the United States probably will continue to supply arms one way or the other to Ukraine, either through NATO or something else. And of course, the whole business about, military procurement is that it's a boon for American defense contractors. And, at the front end, it's sort of clearing the older generation of military hardware for this particular task to, resist Putin. Now, the business here is, of course, it appears as if Russia will go to full conscription, and at some moment they keep threatening to do it, but they haven't, and it seems closer now than it was before. So, in other words, they're preparing for more military stuff, potentially against NATO. Whether that's really going to happen is a whole nother business. And of course, the Ukrainians decided to, thumb their nose or flip the bird at the Russians by attacking Sochi, which is one of the farther targets down the shore of the Black Sea. So that was happening. The Russians continue to throw all kinds of drones. There's all manner of drone discussions going on. including issues of, whether the United States, from a Defense Department point of view, is lagging in its drone technology. Not, it isn't, but I think this issue of a smaller quasi-commercial drones is going to be an important element. So there's that. What other? An entire Russian platoon decided that they would surrender en masse to the Ukrainians. Now, what does that mean? Well, essentially, what happens, I assume a bunch of them in a platoon decided to, they didn't want to be sent out without either air support or artillery. And so they decided, well, the hell with it. And so they shot their platoon leader, and as a bunch came on over and surrendered to the Ukrainians. So that's at least good propaganda. So that happens. Oh,
Reminiscent
ahead.
of the fragging in Vietnam.
It is. They just shot the guy. I mean, he was just going to order them, to get killed, and they decided, well, the hell with that, and
You're
and
talking about
apparently,
full screen. Okay, go ahead.
no, Ukrainians do treat the Russians better as prisoners. I mean, there have been instances, but they treat the Russian prisoners better than the Russians treat Ukrainians. The Russians still execute Ukrainians for little or no, cause. It's just, insane. And of course, there's international court stuff. There's war crimes at work. That at the end there's going to be war crimes, not unlike Israel. So there's that. It's been a busy week because Krasnov, that is Trump, has been looking for any damn excuse, up to and including blaming Obama for the current Epstein business.
You mentioned full draft, full conscription.
Yes. They haven't declared it. Well, they have a weird conscription system anyway, that, you only have to serve a year, I think, in terms of mandatory, conscription. It's just that you have to declare, a kind of full out war, and that, total war or whatever. And so on the one hand, they claim it is a total war, but they haven't declared it. So that's kind of typical. And then, of course, there's always the incentives. I'm not sure, giving people a sack of
Poverty draft
potatoes
type?
is any. Yes, well,
I was going to say,
it's
it's incomprehensible to me that anybody in any day and age past the past half century would go anywhere near the military. But I understand poverty draft. Are there any?
yes.
Is there any reports of resistance, and to what degree?
There have been
Resistance
people
to.
who have resisted, but you wind up in prison usually.
Mhm.
At least they're not shooting people, but it is pretty problematic. But I mean, the American draft, when it existed, was a 2-year hitch for the the and it's unfortunate that they're relatively efficient, but it is a poverty, as you say, a poverty draft. People get a little extra money, and if your kid dies, whatever, it's a benefit of some kind. You get something from it, whatever.
Serve your country.
It's pretty.
Made your country proud.
Yes, and it's a little scary. I mean, it has to do with cash and a bunch of other crazy things, which is why they kept stealing appliances. Now, the war is pretty intense now. There are much larger strike packages being sent. I don't know, what is it, up to 2,000 drones in a single thing. But when you look at the aggregate, they aren't really sending a lot more drones. They're sending a few more drones, but they've actually it's really, they'll go through this, big deal of a lot of drones, but on the next day they won't, they won't send very many. So it kind of evens out in a weird way. But yes, it is problematic to have many, many drones. You have to. It is taxing on the Ukrainian air defense, but the story is there's a lot of new technology that the Ukrainians are quite innovative regarding, that is interceptor drones and a bunch of other things, and so that's sort of interesting there. But at the same time, ground beef is now $6.12 a pound. Not that we care, us, those of us who eat more vegetables, but it's an all-time high for ground meat, and I think that's beginning to pressure Trumpists as well, because they're not going to substitute, their red meat folks. So anyway, Trump has said just lots of weird and wacky things that sort of indicate that he's not quite all there, because he started talking about drug prices and tried to make an argument that it was good to have insulin prices go up. It's just like stupid. And you see what's going on, obviously. And of course, even the Trumpists are seeing now that it was all BS. So anyway, I think I've covered almost everything. I mean, not everything, but a significant number of stuff. As I say, 5 days with the Scottish might be a good thing to just see how they're going to take on Trump. So that should be fun. Perhaps we'll have one or two new names that we can call Trump, and that will be interesting as well. Oh, they pulled troops. They're pulling troops out of LA, because that failed as a thing, that he was going to, start a riot, burn down the city, but that it not quite there. Although people have been brutalized and people are coming back. The other story, of course, that's gone on for the last couple of weeks is Alligator Auschwitz in Florida, and they won't let them have religious services. It's just the usual stuff. Is the kind of weird, kind of cruelty, and it's a kind of, not unlike the kind of stepping backwards into, renaming formerly racist sports teams with with racist names. It's pretty much the same kind of business. Hyperbole rules, but all of it is meant to distract from the current crisis of the Epstein files, whatever you want to call them. The reality is there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, if you hang out with somebody for 10 years, there's going to be stuff. And they managed not to deal with it during Trump's time in office. And of course, during the Biden period, because there was holds, constraints on evidence and testimony. So that's why the Biden administration didn't pursue it any further, even though it was all there ready to go. They weren't going to do it because obviously it would just make the Trumpists a lot stronger. So there's that. As I say, I think I've covered most of the big stories.
Oh, yeah, prison plate's ready.
All right, look at that. Look at that.
Rice
It's nice.
porridge and lentil soup.
Nice.
Very thin, easy to digest. Some stewed dandelion greens, and put
Yum.
some fresh sorrel, wild sorrel. And this represents the missing protein, missing food.
Well, I mean, you could throw what, tofu or something there, right? Or whatever.
Not if you don't have anything.
Yeah.
In a lot of places in Gaza, they don't even have flour anymore. So bakeries are shutting down, working every other day.
Yes. It's just so sad. All that food sitting there on one side and not being delivered on the other, and people getting killed. I mean, it's just I don't I still don't understand it. I don't understand why there had I would hope that the Israelis would be pissed, and the Israeli civilians would be pissed off about this.
You would imagine they would, or even second, just for a selfish moment, think like you're never going to be able to leave the state, which is the size of Rhode Island. They're not going to be able to travel in the future. A large
No,
number of people.
yes, it's going to be tough. On the other hand, American travel is like really screwed now. I mean, people are not being able to, you know, it has been problematic for some people to leave the country and then try and get back in. I don't know what the hell happens, but they're just doing that. And of course,
Well,
all the
I've heard
people
it's
who
been
are,
problematic for Norwegians to get into the United States.
oh, well, there you go. I mean, but you just have to protect yourself. Don't show stupid pictures of JD Vance. There's and they keep showing them. Vance, unfortunately, is trying to set himself up as the heir apparent. If Trump croaks, but whatever. Um, I still want to know what happened with this little visit with Murdoch. No one's asked him about it. I mean, he went out there with his wife, and they visited and did a little hike and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm really much more curious about what they discussed. Um, in that sense.
Do we have any questions before we hang up the line?
No, let's get on to the schedule. Booker Face is tonight. Um, if John's there, can you talk a little bit about both the Night Gallery and the Star Trek on Sunday?
Fingers
John?
crossed for the uplifting one.
Not tonight, Joe.
Oh, darn it. Darn it. Dang it. One of these days.
One of these days it'll happen. Yes. Tonight on Night Gallery, we have an episode called A Death in the Family. It stars E.G. Marshall.
E.G. Marshall.
Yes, a very fine character actor. And also Desi Arnaz Jr.
Wow.
Interesting pairing.
Interesting.
Lucy's old flame?
Lucy's son.
The kid.
Ah. Yes. So I'll go over all that, of course. And I think people will like it, and it'll give us something to talk about. And on Star Trek at 4 o'clock on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we have an episode called Time Squared. It's hard to describe this, so I won't. It's
Okie dokie.
yeah. I'll leave it there.
All righty. If Lane's here, you want to talk about what you're going to do after Star Trek on Sunday?
On the show on episode 2, Live Aid. With
right.
Bob, give us your bloody money, Geldof.
All right.
Yes. And
Excellent.
we'll have another fine selection of sets from the Live Aid gig itself.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch that kind of a historical thing. And Saturday, if Susanna wants to talk a little bit, that we were going to show something, and I can't remember what the hell
Oh, no.
it is
That's
on
actually
Saturday.
me. Yeah, that's me. I gotta look at the schedule here. One moment.
Now, what are we going to show on Saturday? There was something we were going to save for Saturday, and I can't remember what it was. I mean, we had
The
discussed it.
Apprentice.
Ah, yes. Yes, we're going to see the Donald Trump movie that got at least one Emmy, one Oscar nomination. So that's interesting. And we'll see that, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock on Saturday?
That's up to Mr. Travis and his dodgy technology.
Well, you guys gotta communicate. All gotta communicate better with me because I booked myself at 7 o'clock
Oh, well.
tomorrow evening
Uh-oh. All righty.
for a documentary following on tonight's theme here regarding starvation in Gaza. This is a documentary, Gaza Journalists Under Fire. Since October 7th, 2023, at least 178 journalists have been killed in Gaza. That's more journalists than in both world wars combined. While the world
Not from Al
remains
Jazeera.
silent. No, this is let me get through this. We must raise our voices against injustice. In this poignant new documentary, Robert Greenwald will expose Israel's crimes against journalism and humanity through the lives and deaths of Palestinian journalists Bilal Jarahada, Heba al-Abalda, and Ismail al-Ghul. So it'll be a little tough one. They were providing screenings to people who are in different groups, activist groups. If you're going to have a screening for a group, they'll send you a link. So brave new films.
Apparently, you were
Thanks.
already written to about the film by Anna L.
Ha.
Yeah,
You already played it?
no.
I can't understand what you're saying.
Anna L. wrote you about The Apprentice.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
I must not be able to read. Well,
Let me
long
comment
evening.
that the newsletter has become much more fulsome. That is, the lot more images and stuff. So please open up the when you get it in the mail. It's worth looking at.
Or subscribe. Go to
Please subscribe.
theautonomouscollective.net. Join us.
Yes. I don't know if Travis wants to talk about what's happening tonight with Poker Face. Yes.
My
No.
poker face.
It'll be on after Night Gallery, so there's that, and we're getting close to the end. I think. Oh, the time for The Apprentice on Saturday. What time is it on Saturday that we're going to show The Apprentice?
Usual filmy type time. I don't know. Travis is meant to be sorting all this shiz out.
6 o'clock. How about 6 o'clock Eastern time?
Yeah,
that
that'll
good?
do.
That good for everyone?
If anybody wants to shift it, just we'll shift it. It's fine.
All righty. I just said 6 o'clock. I mean, I don't care. I mean, 5 o'clock is fine with me too. Anyway, we'll work all these things out. Weekly Marks is on at 2 and 2 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. We're getting back to the Grundrisse for a variety of reasons, and so there's that. If you've been paying attention, I've been looking at both the Grundrisse and some other stuff related to Anwar Sheikh's big book on competition, capital and competition. So anyway, it's been a busy week, let's just say, and we'll try and do better next week. Are we set to go to leave? No?